TinkerCAD tips. I had a follower ask about another chainmail or flexible fabric design using sort of a waved ellipse shape. I think this is kind of what he was referring to, something like this, more like ring mail, rounded instead of being squared off. Now, one of the reasons I hadn't initially done this design is because the bottoms of these rings may potentially require support under here. But let me show you how I made each one of these individual links. I just started with this torus shape down here. Let's go ahead and change this to yellow. I like yellow because it's easy to see. And in the parameters over here, I changed the radius to 10, tube size to be 3 millimeters. Now I left the number of sides and steps low. If you start smoothing out this ring, it just makes it harder and harder for TinkerCAD to handle all of the triangles in the mesh. So once this prints, I don't think these little steps will even be noticeable. So I started with this ring here of this size, and I brought out a box shape here, and I want to split this in half. Move that to about there, bring it down, put the work plane over here on the side. Now while that box is selected, I'll hit duplicate, D to drop to the work plane. Put the work plane back. Now I'm going to select just those two whole boxes. Temporarily, I'm going to group those together. Select both of those items, do an alignment in all three axes. Oops, deselected. Let's try that again. There we go. Now I'm going to click on that whole box again and degroup it. Now in order to have a flat spot on these links, to have some adhesion to the build plane, I'm going to put a little flat spot on our ring here to begin with. We're going to take this half here. Let's move this over. Let's change our snap grid down to off, get a little bit better control. And we'll move that to about there. I'm going to select all three of those items, group those together. There's our half of the ring. Let's flip this over, D to drop to the work plane. Now while that's selected, I'm going to make a duplicate of that. Holding down the Shift key, I'm going to rotate this around 90 degrees. Let's mirror this. Let's select this one. We'll do a quick mirror. That direction. There we go. Let's select the both of them, do a quick alignment. This direction, there we go. Now I want to drop this one to the top of this, and the easiest way to do that is let's put the work plane on top of here. Select this half, hit D to drop, put the work plane back. Okay, now we have those two. Let's select the two of those, duplicate, click mirror. We'll mirror it that direction and that direction. There we have all four of our parts. I'm going to select on the top two, holding down the Shift, select this part. And then I'm going to hold down the Control key and cursor down once or twice. I just want to make sure that these bond together when I merge them. I'm going to take all four of those, group those together into one piece. Once they're merged, I'm going to go ahead and lower this a little bit. And that's how we get our basic shape. To duplicate this, to begin making the links, I just selected this, made a duplicate, holding down the Shift key. I just used the cursor keys to get this into position. check the view here. There's a gap there. We'll go to the right just a little more. There we go. Let's take this one and move it out of the way. I'm going to grab these two, move them down here. Now, while those two are selected, I'm going to hit duplicate. I'm going to zoom in, holding down the shift. I'm going to nudge these over. And make sure that's aligned correctly, that nothing's going to stick together when it prints. Looks like we can go back to the left there a little bit. There we go. Now, while those are still selected, I'm just going to begin hitting Control D. That's our wave duplication. Now, to continue the pattern in the other direction, we'll select all of those, hit duplicate. Let's go down here and temporarily change our snap grid. While those are still selected, I'm holding the shift in the down cursor key. Zoom in, make sure that's lined up correctly. There's a good gap. And while they're still selected, I'll just continue to hit Control D until it's as large as I want. So that's how that was made. I'm going to go ahead and group this together, slice it up, and send it off to the printer. So let's go take a look at what this looks like when it gets printed. And here we have the 3D printed version of that design. Printed fairly well. Super flexible, as you can see. Now, I did have one small problem with this. Because of the curves, and I'll zoom in a little bit here, because of the curves, when these printed on the build plate, as it went up, there's parts of it that extended out over the build plate. And on the first iteration of me trying to print this, I had it a little bit larger, and I had lowered the height of the links a little bit, which exaggerated that curve. And as it grew up, the outside edges of each of these oval shapes started to curl up or to do some cupping. So as the hot end was going across the print, it was running into that, and I had two failures. So I went back in and I changed the size of this. I shrunk it down a little bit, and I actually made the links taller so that there was less curvature towards the bottom here. Now, this design is very similar to this, and I'd shown you this one previously. It's more or less the same pattern of four-sided over-under. This printed very easily because there was no parts of the print that extended out over where it was on the build plate. So, it does work. This looks a little bit more like legitimate chainmail. And I guess if you wanted, you could link these together. I'd have to design like another clip that if you had another section of this chainmail next to it, that you could clip the two together. As always, like, follow, and share. If you have any comments or suggestions, you know where to drop those. And I will see you on the next one.